Well, of course, girl. You know what they say, live, laugh, love. Oh yeah, it's important. Natasha, you are not gonna believe this. Somebody left a perfectly good pair of Uggs sitting on the curb. They look like they're brand new. Oh my god, I have to check this out. Hold on one second, girl.
Ooh, these are brand new. Hey, what do you think you're doing? Put me down. Hey, somebody help me. I'm being kidnapped.
Finally, I'll have someone to help me on my paper route.
Hello, lovely humans, and welcome back to my channel, Thighs the Limit. Now that the holiday of eating is over, I'm sure some of you guys are wondering how it went. Did I dive headfirst into a pile of mashed potatoes? Did the turkey come in like a wrecking ball and wreck my waistline? Did I do this intro just so I could use the Thanksgiving memes that I've been saving throughout the year? Yes. But jokes aside, Thanksgiving is a rough holiday, and it's the start to really a rough season when it comes to weight loss. Because let's face it, half the time your friends and family are baking goods, you might want to be trying out new recipes, and it seems like at work around this time of year, there is always something to snack on. Always. And it's no different for me either. I spent the last few weeks in my clinical rotation because I'm a physical therapy student, for those of you guys who don't know. And there was pretty much something sugary around every single day. But I've been working my buns off, and I know I'd mentioned in some past videos that for a while I had really been stuck in between like 216 and 218. Like, it just did not want to leave me alone. Like, those fat rules were dedicated. I'm trying to get rid of them. But I kept working my butt off no matter how challenging it was having sugar around me 24/7, and I'm not trying to pretend like it was easy and I just lost a ton of weight or anything like that. But as of the week before Thanksgiving, I had finally hit the 214s, which honest to God, I didn't know if was even going to be possible this year because I've been struggling for so long to get under 216. But I did it and I was super excited. Now, this Thanksgiving was a little bit different than last Thanksgiving. I started trying to lose weight last year, but last Thanksgiving, I kind of gave myself a free pass to just eat whatever I wanted. And I didn't want to do that again this year because the truth is, if you go wild on a couple of days in a row or on a holiday, it's a lot harder to get back on track afterwards. And since I have consistently been struggling to stay on track, I didn't want to make it any more difficult for myself. So what I decided I wanted to do this year was to stick with eating everything in moderation. And you know what's amazing? I actually freaking did it. But here's the hard part. I forgot to account for the fact of everything in moderation is still too much food if there's like 15 different dishes, because my family loves to cook and there's a lot of us, so we're bringing all different sorts of things. I'm also almost always the one that brings a sweet potato casserole. It's one of my favorite things to make, it's delicious, and every year without fail, I make enough to feed an army of teenagers. And this year was no different. Once again, I forgot how much I needed. It's kind of like when you make pasta, you know, you want to make enough for 2 people and instead you make enough for a family of 16. Sweet potato casserole is the exact same thing for me. It was delicious, but it was way too much, which meant that not only did I have sweet things at Thanksgiving, I then had all these leftovers coming home with me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to Thanksgiving, which was extra hard because not only did we celebrate my mom's birthday the morning of Thanksgiving, we also went to my dad's side of the family to celebrate Thanksgiving itself, and then later on went to my husband's family to celebrate with them. So there was a lot of food and a lot of meals. But the whole time I was like, no, I am doing this. I'm sticking with everything in moderation. And so I tried like little things here and there. And it was kind of amazing because this was the first year after a Thanksgiving meal where I didn't feel like absolute trash. I wasn't so stuffed I wanted to puke. I wasn't sitting back on the couch like, oh my God, I need to unbutton these jeans. Why didn't I wear elastic? Oh, such a mistake. None of that. I actually felt good enough that we went for a walk after having Thanksgiving lunch, and that was wonderful. So I burned a few extra calories there, and then we headed to Hobby's family. Hobby's my husband. And we had dinner with them. And I did the same thing there. I got just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. I tried not to go too wild with the desserts. You know, this is actually the first year that I didn't try every single dessert there was. And in past years, when there's like 7 different types of pie, I was still trying to try all 7 types of pie. So this is huge for me. And I was really proud of myself. But I was also really frustrated because when I weighed myself over the course of the next few days, because keep in mind we were still eating leftovers and I was still trying to stick with the whole everything in moderation thing. When I weighed myself, I was right back up to 217. Now, to some extent, I know it also takes a few days to kind of get rid of the excess weight if you eat a lot or if you're just eating heavier meals. But I know that it was not only that. The problem with my plan was, of course, there were way too many things to eat in moderation, so I still overate. I didn't binge, I didn't go hog wild, but I still had more than I should have in terms of like calorie counting. And some of you guys are probably like, okay, it was Thanksgiving, who cares? Everyone eats more then. And I think to some extent, yes. But I really, really wanted to keep up with the weight loss, so I'm very frustrated. And I was like, okay, I'm back to 217. This kind of sucks. And so I just kept nibbling on those leftovers in moderate amounts. And I also forgot to account for the fact that when you're making Thanksgiving meals, a lot of times they are chock full of fattening ingredients and like, butter and lots of sugar. It's not just the portion sizes. So I forgot to account for the calorie count part, but at the very least, I stuck with moderate sized portions and not only having like a plate of pie or like 2 plates of pie. Either way, I did good. So how am I doing now? So it's a little over a week after Thanksgiving, and I have still been struggling to not have sugary things, but at the very least, I've been trying to stick with the whole everything in moderation. And so I've been waffling back and forth between like 216, 215, and then I'm really bad at weighing myself after I eat late at night, and then it ends up being 217, but that's the food. So I'm still kind of figuring out the weight loss part. So no, it's not perfect. And if you're wondering, okay, well, she didn't lose weight on Thanksgiving, why is she even making this video? There's a reason, I promise. Aside from just, random desire to put my life on the internet, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, so I realized something this Thanksgiving about where I am in my weight loss journey or adventure or whatever you want to call it. Because it's not just about losing weight, it's about creating sustainable habits. So for me, it's really important to figure out what works, what doesn't, and if it doesn't work, why isn't it working? So I realized a couple things this week. And one of those is that with where I am right now in what my abilities are, if I am in my own environment, my own controlled environment. So if I'm at home and it's my day off and I want dessert or I want to go out to Taco Bell, I am at the point where, thanks to using my rings, which that was an earlier video about cognitive behavioral therapy, so I'll link that down below if y'all want to see it. But by using my rings and using my training through cognitive behavioral therapy, I'm able to get past my desire to go, most times anyways, to get past my desire to go get junk food or to go get sugar. Because it's a controlled environment. So I'm like, okay, I'm the one that can say, no, this is a bad idea. I'm gonna go have something healthy that's still satisfying instead. The area that I've realized that I really struggle with is the area where I'm out of my comfort zone. So when I was at the hospital doing my clinical rotation, if someone brought in sugar, I struggled so much harder to say no because it wasn't just a temporary thing. When I was in that hospital every single day, there was like this bin that was constantly getting refilled of all sorts of sugary goods. And every time I had to go to my desk, I walked past it. Not by choice, like that was literally the pathway. And eventually I realized I was like, okay, I can use my rings for a while, but if I'm sitting around that thing for like 8 hours, chances are I'm probably gonna cave. And I was able to maybe not go too wild on most days. So in that regard, that's still progress. But it's very, very frustrating when it's like, okay, I'm trying to lose weight, but there's always sugar around. But that's the truth. Because when you're a sugar addict, you can't go through life and just be like, I'm gonna be totally okay, I'm gonna make good choices because I'm never gonna run across sugar again. It's a little bit different than if you're dealing with a different addiction. In most cases anyways. For example, let's say someone has a drug problem. Those drugs are not necessarily being thrown at you all day long. But if you have a sugar addiction, you're constantly exposed to it. So for some people, they want to go completely cold turkey and they don't want to have anything with sugar. And I mean like in terms of added ingredients. So they make everything from scratch because you go to the store and you see things like, oh, there's sugar in soup, there's sugar in my cereal, there's sugar in my ketchup. Like for a lot of people, because they're a sugar addict, they're like, that's the only way I can do it is to get past it and have nothing. But it's still extra torturous because it's around you in the store all the time. Now, just to clarify, I am not in any way, shape, or form saying that a drug addiction is somehow easier to deal with or harder to deal with than sugar addiction. Like when I took my drug use and abuse class for my undergrad, the thing that stuck with me the most, because one of the students asked, you know, what is the most addicting drug? And the teacher's answer really stuck with me. She was like, it's whichever one you like the most. For me, my drug of choice is sugar, and it is very hard to be surrounded by it 24/7. So I realized in the last week that yeah, when it's brought into my little area, I struggle a lot. I'm not necessarily going to be successful yet, but it let me know what I needed to work on. It made me feel good in the sense of, I know that if I'm at home, I can control myself as long as I don't buy junk food at the store. I can control myself because I can create something in-house that tastes good that isn't gonna make it harder on me. The hard part is I'm not always gonna be at home. Like, I'm not a housewife, I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I mean, you know, for children, they don't need that much attention to really require that. Instead, I'm a student who is out and about all the time. I'm also a baker, which means I'm definitely surrounded by sugar. And I'm really gonna have to focus on finding ways to be able to be around that sugar for an extended amount of time without caving. So it gave me something to talk about in therapy this upcoming week. And again, if you want to figure out what I'm doing for therapy with weight loss, the link is below. But I just wanted to share where I'm at because I know that the holidays are stressful for multitudes of reasons depending on what you're going through. But for those of us who struggle with our weight, the holidays are hard. And I just want to let you guys know you're not alone. I'm struggling right there with you, but I'm going to keep trying because that's really all you can do. No matter how much you're struggling, the most important thing is that you don't give up and that you keep trying new things, or if you know what's successful, that you keep doing that. And that's what I'm gonna do. So, to see how I continue on with this journey and what kind of things I'm changing, stay tuned. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. It really does help the channel out. And I will see you lovely humans some Friday in the very near future. Bye-bye.